A favorite map of many RTS gamers who've played Beyond All Reason or similar games is this map right here. Whether you call it Seaton's Clutch, Supreme Strait, or Supreme Isthmus, as the new map is called, you'll be familiar with it. And I think what is so exciting about this map is that there's just so much variation. Variation in the way that you play, variation in the positions and your obligations. In this video, we're giving you a complete guide to this map on the expectations of your position, and we'll be giving a build order for every single position as well. So let's get down, let's get dirty, because we got a lot to cover in this video. Keep in mind, this is accurate as of August 2025, and also note that, look, if you're OS 60, you're probably not going to be getting a lot of stuff out of this video. However, if you're OS 23, OS 29, maybe even OS 34, there might be a couple of things that you can learn. Anyway, let's get to it. Okay, so let's start by talking about front. Front is increasingly important because if you lose front, well, it's not going to be a good thing for your team. So anyway, there's a lot of different ways that you can start, but I would suggest just starting with a really safe opening like this. So we're going to start by putting 3 metal extractors down. We'll then build our bot lab, and then we'll build our wind that comes in after it. And you might be wondering, oh, hold on a minute, it doesn't really seem like there's a lot of energy. And that's because there isn't. In fact, we're actually relying on one of the players on our team. Let me turn up our music. This player right here, our pond player, to be giving us over titles. So what we're going to do is we're going to emulate that by giving ourselves titles. So if we do this, you'll see that we now have a title. And this is going to emulate us getting the titles. And in a perfect world, we should be getting about 4 titles, and that will be over the course of the first minute of the game that they'll be giving them over. So we'll go ahead and we'll now give ourselves another title over here. So a second title that they've made for us. And now that we've done this, we'll pause it down, we'll slow it down, and talk a little bit about our opening. So one of the things that I think is really important that you want to do when you're opening like this is getting out early grave robbers. So these guys right here. So we're going to put 2 of them in the queue. And the reason why is because the sooner we do that, the sooner they can start eating this energy. The sooner they're eating this energy, then the more energy we've got. And the idea is that we want to use our commander and the build power that it's got. He's got the 300 build power, which is a lot, to boost out a whole bunch of units so that we can try and confirm the entirety of this field. Because if we take a look here, you'll see that there is 1.5k in total on that reclaim field. So that's going to be our goal. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to do that. Let's unpause it here. And we're then going to follow up by doing 5 more grunts, another grave robber, and then 5 more grunts. Then we're going to follow that up with a whole bunch of construction bots, and then we're just going to make some thugs. So that's the goal. We're also going to put down 1 wind turbine in this transition period. And let's just give ourselves a couple more tides, because we would expect 4 from him. So Commander, you're going to need to supervise. You want the commander to be guarding. That's important. And now we're going to start and reclaim straight away. We're now going to bring our second grave robber out. You can see that even though we've got this decent wind speed here, the titles are going to be providing us energy. And now we want to get these units out. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in a control group. And now that I've got these units out, I'll be able to defend. So I can even move one of these grave robbers forward and start bringing in this metal. Now, one of the things that you might be fearful of, let's pause it for a second here. Oh, pause. One of the things that you may be fearful of is a potential run by. That's where your enemy will look to get a unit out here, normally along the edge. So one of the ways that you can counteract that is by dropping down just a guard tower. So you can see we actually cover a really good distance here. So we're going to go ahead and we'll put that guard tower down right here, just because we're a little bit scared of that. So I'd recommend that you do the same thing in your games, just to try and play it safe. So we've got our 5 grunts out right now. We've got another grave robber that's going to come through, and we're protecting everything. We're protecting our side here, and we can start moving up with our grave robbers at the back here. So we can even look to bring up all 3, because we're actually going to need them to help out with the repair of any of these units, or the resurrection of any of these units. And one of the things that you'll see is that we're really doing quite poorly on energy, but that's okay, because once our grave robbers are here, not only is there metal in these rocks, there's also energy, and that's going to boost back up. And also we want to try and spread them out. We want to try and spread them out so that we're able to take advantage of that. So behind the scenes now, we're also adding in constructors. So let's talk a little bit about what the role of the constructor is right here. So before our commander moves to the front, it's really important that we have build power that's empowering our bot lab back home. So for us to do that, we're going to need to have ideally at least 2 constructors helping out this construction lab. But on top of that, we're also going to need to scale our energy. We need to make sure that we've got a decent energy supply as we move forward. We might need to degun, we may need to cloak. So there's a lot of factors there that we need to consider. So let's also think about doing that. So our first constructor is going to come back and we're actually going to get him to build a con turret. From there, he can then build some wind turbines. And this second one, we'll just keep him guarding up on this position at the front. Meanwhile, towards the front, we've got our units that are out here. We might be bouncing back. We might have to pull these guys back in case there's trouble. They may need to do a bit of a repair, so we can also put them on a patrol just so that they do that. You can see that we are running out of energy here. Now, when we run out of energy, it also affects our metal extractor, so we want to make sure that we turn our commander from high priority to low priority. Same with our constructor. And one of the things that we can always do with these is bring them back and just have them eating up the trees if we feel like we're in a bad position and we're not going to be able to contest these rocks anymore. We've already got a pretty decent amount, but now we're starting to pump out thugs. So what we can do is get our commander to help out on this, and then we're going to move him forward. So you can see we're at the 3-minute mark here, so still quite early in this game, and we're going to need to look to start contesting the center here. So what we're going to do is we're still pumping these out. We'll move the commander, having still a little bit of trouble. And another thing that we can do is, because we've got this construction turret, we can now also add in a second set of wind turbines. And this allows us to have a little bit more scaling on our energy as well. And we can even look to do a repeating. So we can do a repeat of 5 thugs and 1 construction bot. And now we're going to start moving forward. And throughout this time, we would have been challenged, we would have been pushed up, we would have been pushed backwards. But the general idea is that we want to essentially do this. And we want to continue pushing forward. And we want to make sure that we bring our res bots with us. So we can also start mixing in a res bot here as well as the constructor. Just because when we're making lots of thugs, they've got quite a lot of health. So we can look to try and take advantage. So let's imagine that all of our grunts have now died to the enemy. And our thugs are taking a little bit of damage. We can use our constructors on the fronts to help out with this. You can see we're starting to stall metal here, which is absolutely fine. The idea is that we're still going to have units coming out. We want to try and secure this up as much as we can. And now we're able to do this because we're going to be preparing for our T2 constructor. Now, we're only at the 4-minute mark here. And our T2 constructor normally comes in anywhere between the 7-minute mark to the 10-minute mark, somewhere in that region. And what we're then going to be doing is looking to put down some lasers. So we want to do this, but keep in mind that this is very general in the way that this is happening here. There's a lot of nuance to the front that I'm not going to be covering here, and that this is just sort of like your general opening. If you're just starting out and you're thinking, hey, I want to try giving front a go, then this is a great start for you that should do relatively well. My only fear here is that we may be scaling energy a little bit too hard. Now, one thing to note as well that I think is quite important is the T2 timing and what that looks like. So we can give ourselves a T2 unit. So let's go ahead and give an ARM Advanced Construction K-Bot. And there he comes in. So normally this will come in from our Geo player, and we'll then just start by doing this. Now, when it comes to on your position on the front, instead of you putting down your advanced metal extractors, that you may be in a bit of a hard spot. So that might mean that instead you look to put a rattlesnake down instead. So you can look to get it somewhere in this region if you're under stress, or if you're a bit more aggressive, you can look to get it down towards the front. But anyway, that's the general start here from this position. Let's move on to the next one, which is also at the front. Okay, so now we're playing on the lower position here at the front. Now, one thing to note about this position is it's a little bit slower out of the gates. You can take a little bit more time with this. Obviously, you still need to contribute units towards the front, but not with the same speed. And because of that, it does mean that you can look to get down a little bit more wind. It also means that the titles that you receive from your ally over here are going to be a little bit slower. So they're not going to come in as quickly as this player here if the pond player is playing correctly. So we're going to opt by just putting down our 2 wind turbines to start with. And if we've got good wind, we're going to go straight into our lab. Now, keep in mind, you can play vehicles, you can play bots, you can play arm, you can play core from these front positions. There's no real preference here. Obviously, there's a bit more nuance once you start talking about the higher levels of play, but that's the general idea. Now, one thing that will happen as we just pause the game quickly here is normally when the pond is playing, they'll give 3 titles to this player, and then they'll give 1 title to you. Then they'll give the 4th title to this player, and then they'll give you the next 3. So they kind of front load it towards this side. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to, once again, give ourselves some titles. So let's give an arm title, arm tide over here. And let us continue now at this point. And from this position, what we're going to do is we're going to start it off a little bit differently. We're going to start it with a construction bot instead. And from there, the construction bot is going to be key because we want to actually get our commander out here relatively quickly. So if we've got energy, we will assist. Let's put ourselves to low priority. So you can see we don't really have energy at the moment. So it makes it hard for us to subsequently put that energy over into this bot. So what we can actually do with energy this low is we can look to put down a solar. Normally you really want to avoid putting down a solar, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense even right here to continue making the wind turbine because you're just kind of wasting your time by doing it. So we'll go ahead, we'll do that. We'll finish the wind turbine off. Now we'll look to supervise here and we'll now also get some peewees out, or what are they called? They're called pawns. So we'll look to try and cut off because there's going to be an attempt by somebody to do a run by down here, at least normally. So we're going to try and meet out there. So we'll cover that. Then we'll grab another construction bot here. So it looks like we've been able to cover that for the moment. So we're at 140 here. So it's not the earliest, mainly because of the wind. And you can see we're still kind of struggling. Oh, you know why? Let me pause it. It's because we haven't been given those titles. 1 title, 2 titles. This is part of the reason why you need to do it. So the whole idea with this is called boosting, is that we need to get the rocks in the middle, right? Like that's the whole idea. We need to secure those rocks. And the sooner we secure those rocks, the sooner we're able to turn that metal into units that we can then use to push the front down. That's the whole idea, the whole concept. So that's part of the reason why the boost exists, because if this guy just makes units and sends them to the front, he's going to take a lot more time than if he was to just donate his resources off early to his allies and then they were to make the units. It's a little bit silly, but that's just the way it is. Anyway, we've given ourselves over these titles, so hopefully we should have a little bit of a better time. So once we've got these 2 construction bots out, we can then go into a Lazarus and 5 Rocketeers and a Lazarus and 5 Rocketeers, and then we'll continue by doing that. At the same time, we're going to start moving forward with our commander after this construction bot comes out. So we want these 2 construction bots out here. And from here, this is where we're now going to start moving up. We're also going to look to play it safe. So we're going to put our first sentry down over on this position. We'll come grab this metal extractor, and then we can put a second sentry down over here. And the idea is that we just want to make sure that there are no run-bys. That's really, really key. We can also grab a little bit of energy here. And let's now move up as well because we've got units. Our Rocketeers are going to be looking to help. Our Commander's also going to come up and grab these metal extractors. And let's see if we can't grab a bit of reclaim for ourselves. So meanwhile, behind at home, we've got this that's happening. So we're going up quite a bit on these Rocketeer numbers. We can even reduce this down, get ourselves another construction bot out because we are... Oh, okay. I was a bit worried he wasn't assisting. Because one of the things that we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to drop down a nano, a construction turret. So we'll need to do that. And ideally, we want to get that up relatively quickly. So where is our res bot? I think we've got more of them coming. There's another one that's coming now. So we want to make sure that we're reclaiming. We might have a difficult time with these units here. So we can always just bring back a little bit. Our commander's coming up. We're at the 3-minute mark again here. And keep in mind that there are different strategies for the front. This strategy is just a strategy I'm showing you so that you can play a pretty consistent front and that hopefully it should avoid too many issues, at least for your allies, and that you're still able to work towards it. We're going to continue moving forward here. Looks like our peewees are going to die, the poor things. And we're going to continue kiting here. So maybe we throw out some rockets, get some rockets over there. And our commander is now going to move forward. So we've taken all of this, and once again, we're now going to look to do this. Behind the scenes, we've got the 3 construction bots, so we can take 2 of them, and we can drop down our nano here. So we're at the roughly around the 4-minute mark, and the same thing is going to happen on this side as what happened before, in that we need to now look to scale our energy. This is going to be really important. We need to scale our energy before our T2 bots come through, our T2 constructors come through, because when that happens, it's going to take a lot of energy to upgrade these metal extractors, and we need to make sure that we're going to be able to fund that. Another thing to note is we also want to make sure that we get a radar up. Radar can be something that you get up over here. It can be something that gets up quite early, but ideally you want to have that radar up relatively early as well. So something that we didn't talk about on the front So other than that, that's pretty much it at this stage. Now, one of the things to note is when it comes to goals for the front, like realistically, what's your goal? Number one, you need to stop leaks. You need to make sure that no units go past you that you can control, right? Now, if a whole bunch of hovercraft come through over from here, that's okay, not your job. If there's amphibious units that come in and attack your Geo player, that's okay, not your job. Bombing run, not your job. What's your job? Your job is to stop ticks. Your job is to stop pawns. Your job is to stop rascals. Anything quick from getting in behind these enemy lines and harassing these players. By the same token, if you're in the mood, go for it. Grab yourself your own tick. Look to try and hit the enemy Geo. That is definitely something that you can do. So that's your first thing is making sure that you're stopping those enemies from coming through. The second part is that you need to look to try and establish reclaim or get out onto the reclaim field. You need to get out here, need to be reclaiming this and contesting this, killing enemy res bots, taking your own up there and reclaiming. How you achieve that, well, it will be dependent on your game play or your style of play that you're in the mood to play. The next thing is that ideally you want to survive, and there's going to be key points where you're not going to be able to survive, and you're going to be reliant on other players to assist you. In the same way that we were reliant on these titles to come through from Pond, we will be reliant on the tick spam that will be coming through from Pond eventually. We will be reliant on the T2 that's going to be coming through from Geo. In the event that there's a whole bunch of aircraft at the front, then we may potentially rely on air to assist us. In the event that the enemy's warships are taking out our metal extractors on here, we may potentially rely on sea. Everybody is reliant on each other in Supreme, and I think that's part of what makes it so much fun, because the good players can always look to help out areas that are lacking. Anyway, that's essentially where we're at the front. Finally, the one thing, or the last thing to note with regard to front and your job at the front is that your job is to kill the enemy front player. Do not be afraid to do it. Some of the best front players in the world are going to be able to do that and be able to take out their enemy laners. And if you're able to do that, there's a really good potential for you to win the game. So one of the things that I would say that you want to try and do, it's rare that you see players push up along this direction. It is possible to do, but it's hard just because this cove is very well insulated. So it's quite often that you'll have this C player that will keep all of their units around here, and this player will have their C units or their C units in here. But if you dare go into this region, it's very hard to get past the C. So often you'll see players look to instead attack up in this angle, which is great because this player here is going to be T2, and they've got the Geo, and if you can hit the Geo, it's going to make a big boom. So normally that's the angle that you see players go, but it can definitely be a situational thing. But that is very key to note. The final thing is that it's also your obligation to secure the front throughout the game. So if we just put on, we've got cheats on already, but if we do no cost on our cheats, let's just get a constructor out here. So throughout the game, it's expected that you're going to be securing the front, making sure that there are ample defenses, and that obviously includes these T1 defenders, but it also means throughout the game that you're going to have larger defenses that get put down as well. Normally, it's less likely that you'll see these and more likely that you'll see the rattlesnake, which comes out, and you'll often see players look to do rattle creep, which is where you take a rattlesnake and you make one a little bit further up, and so each subsequent one has got a better range. Just keep in mind that the range on a rattlesnake is significantly higher if it is up high. So here, as an example, you can see this rattlesnake will actually hit our rattlesnake on the front line, whereas this rattlesnake here can only hit to this part right there. So just be aware of that, and yeah, keep that in mind. Anyway, that's the front covered for now. Hopefully we've managed to do it. Next up, we're moving over to the pond. Okay, let's talk about pond. There's lots of different starts that you can do for pond. You can do a wind start, which is where you start in between your mexes, like this, and you build some wind turbines, and you're going to give these wind turbines over to these players at the front. That's the first way. But the trouble is, okay, and I will say this right now, you can be responsible for losing your team the game for making this decision. Now, it's very much dependent on the wind. If you make winds and you give them to front, or even a solar and give them to front, it's going to hurt you in the long run, because if the enemy player has made titles, then they will be at a significant advantage. It means more energy for them. More energy means more units means more reclaim means more units, which means more death for you. You see where I'm going with this. So instead of going for a wind opening, I'm going to suggest you do something a little bit different. I'm going to suggest instead what you're going to do is go for a tidal opening. So let me show you how that works. So we're going to start off by finding exactly where our tidals can be built as close as possible to the pond. So we're going to do that. We're going to build 1, 2, 3 right here. I'm going to bring my commander a little bit closer. And I'm now going to spread these out. So just a little bit, nothing too crazy, just something like this. And I'm now going to put another one over here, and then I'm going to come back like that. And the reason why is, as I mentioned in the front videos, well, the front parts, we're going to be donating 1, 2, 3 to this guy. And then we're going to donate this one over to here. And we just want it to be all nice. We also want to make sure that we intersect our build ring on all of these. And then from here, so we've built 4 for each front, 2 for us. And then we're going to take 1, 2, 3 mexes. And then from there, we can drop our bot lab down. So here we go. So we're at the start. And we're now going to hand it off to our allies at the front. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So he's now going to pick that up and gets it straight away. And now this guy, once again, over to the front. If he's making units already, because keep in mind, it's going to be this guy in this position. One of the things that you can do is you can look to give them energy. So I'm going to go and do that, pretend to give them energy. Let's hand that one over. And now this one is instead going to go for the player that spawns here. So once again, we're just going to be handing it over to Keith. Sorry, Keith, you're going to be getting a lot of stuff right now. The trouble is that we're kind of like, he's overflowing energy and then he's overflowing it back to us. But anyway, our energy is quite high, and just keep in mind that you should be transferring energy this whole time to these players if they are needing these players. We probably could have put 2 players in here just to represent those 2 players that we're giving it to, but I'm sure you understand the idea. And we want to transfer these over right as they're about to finish, not early like that. So these have all been transferred over now. We've done our job for the front for now, but we still have another job to do. So let's continue. So this is going to be our title, and this is going to be our title as well. So we're just going to go with 2. You don't want to go any more than that. And is he building a torpedo? Is he doing that to protect us? Oh my god, he's so sweet. Do not eat these rocks. These are not our rocks. These rocks belong to tech. At least at the moment, in 2025 August, that's the way it works. If you eat these rocks, people are going to get mad at you. So don't do that. So we're now going to walk over. We're going to take out 3 mexes. And we're going to build our bot lab. We'll probably build it on this side instead, just because that'll be easier to reach for our commander. Could probably even build it in a little bit closer. But meanwhile, at this point, keep in mind that the front is pumping out units and they're looking to gather up this reclaim field. You have helped them out immensely by doing this. One thing to note, though, is that by doing this and instead not giving them wins, you have slowed yourself down. So that is important to note. Now, this role is a support role from the pond. You can definitely carry the game, but it's very much about supporting and making sure you're doing the right things. So now that we've got this here, we're going to go ahead and get our construction bot out. And one thing we need to be aware of is our metal. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to grab this metal extractor here, but we're also, gosh, you can see we're just a little bit ever so slightly not enough metal for this one. That's why we're going to run the commander across. So not too bad right there. And keep in mind that we don't expect any payment for these titles at the front. That is not, oh my gosh, they've got air. Look at that. But we've got air. We've got the counter air. There you go. So this guy is now going to come back behind here. We're going to build 2 construction bots, and then we're going to start building ticks. We're going to build a million, trillion, billion, bazillion ticks. And from here, we can look to bring our commander back, or we can send him up to the front. And I think that's definitely the wise choice, because we're already going to have constructors back here. So we'll have the 2 constructors. We could even go into a 3rd constructor if we wanted to, just mainly because when it comes to the ticks, our ticks serve a little bit of a strange role, not a normal role. So we'll add in a 3rd constructor here as well. And then we'll look to follow that same rule that we did before, where we're going to put down the nano, and then we're going to scale our energy as well. So we can look to put down our nano right there, and then we can look to put down our wind turbines. Great. So now that our ticks are coming out, what we want to do is we want to just put them in and rally them across like that. We're going to put them in a control group. So something like this. You can see there's actually some units over here. And the whole idea here is that we're supporting front. Now, I would suggest you do not give off your units to your allies. You're going to be controlling your units. Oh gosh, this game may be over before it even started. So you can see that what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be looking to try and soak all of the shots from our enemies. So by doing this, we're looking to absorb those shots from the enemy. Let's get in nice and close. We'll deal with these guys here. And by absorbing those shots, or not necessarily absorbing, that's probably the wrong term. Baiting the shots might be a better way to say it. The whole idea is that we want their rockets, because there's going to be rockets from the rocket bots that are coming, and we want those rockets to be constantly missing, because we're fast and quick, and we're always going to be taking the bait from the enemy. I'm just going to put this down to deal with all of this air that we've got here. So that's essentially it. On top of that, we're also providing line of sight. You can see we've got quite a bit of line of sight here. So we want to make sure that we're providing a line of sight to our allied units, and that's going to continue happening. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, what we're doing is we're just scaling. Just a slow little scale, nothing too crazy. We can look to put down our energy storage here as well. So let's go ahead and do that. We can get everything sorted, but as long as you've got ticks on the front, it doesn't need to be a lot, just 5, 10 ticks. You probably want to continue making them. That would be a good recommendation. Let's give him a D gun. Okay, we've got another guy coming in over here. So we want to keep our commander active on the front, but we need to keep these ticks active as well. So let's go ahead. We're not going to stop making the ticks right now, but actually, you know what? We probably could, like, because you got to remember, right? Like, these ticks have done their job, and as your allies move up, you want to move up as well, and you're going to be doing that, and you're going to be constantly doing that. So let's stop making the ticks, and let's talk about what our next role is. So now, our role, let me pause it. Our next role here is to get our tier 2 metal online. So at this point, the T2, or the tech player at the back here, he will have gotten to T2. It's 5 minutes 30. He will have given off one of his constructors to air. Geo may have purchased one as well. And at this point, he's looking for an infusion of metal so that he can continue bankrolling his existing projects. So that's what we're going to be doing. And you can see we've got 426 metal in the bank. So what we're going to do, we can't actually do it here because Keith doesn't have any buildings to actually do it. But we would be sending over 400 metal. So we'd go like that and we'd say 420 metal and we'd leave a little message here just saying paid. And that lets him know that we've now paid him metal and that he should give us a T2 constructor. And when that T2 constructor comes in, what we're then going to do is focus on getting those constructors, or that those metal extractors, the advanced metal extractors, there we go, online. That's our goal. So now that once that's happened, so let's go ahead and activate cheats, and we'll give ARM Advanced Construction KBot. And we're now going to do that. We can bring over these constructors. Now, keep in mind, we're still going to need to make ticks for the front. If we're losing ticks, we still want to make ticks for the front. So let's say we lose all of these ticks right here. They're going, and these are our only ticks. We want to do that. So we want to make sure that all of our ticks are still constantly coming out. But at the same time, we're making sure that this is what we're doing. And you can see we gave away that 420 metal. We're still sitting at about 50. So about now, we'd be running out of metal, but you get the idea, right? And then the idea is we're going to be doing that, and we want to make all 4 of these upgraded. Really important. If you're feeling even a little bit helpful, you can always go and upgrade your ally in the front's metal extractors if Geo hasn't gifted them yet. Because there may be games where you've got a lot of trouble at the front and you might be the first one with T2. So you can go and do that there. But keep in mind, your role, your obligation here is to provide these ticks early on and make sure that they're going to be able to have that line of sight, to have that those units that are providing the decoys for your enemies to be shooting at. Can be very frustrating when you've got all of these ticks and all your snipers and your hounds are shooting at them. So that's essentially the idea. We just want to make sure that we get these up as quickly as possible, because keep in mind, when you look at the metal and where the metal is coming from, it's coming from your metal extractors that are doing 2.3. Well, these ones are doing 4x. So it's incredibly important we get these upgrades as soon as possible. Other things that you can do here, let's make sure we don't lose our commander. Other things that you can do here, so we can add in more nanos, but you do need to be careful because there's a chance that you lose this sea and that this base could potentially become lost. But other things that you can do, so you might want to add a Juno. A Juno is a great way to support your front. Another thing that you could look to be doing is just helping out the front in any other way. So whether that's units, so you can look to go into a vehicle plant and look to get out for example, a whole bunch of stouts. I've seen many players do that, where they get a whole bunch of stouts, they'll wait till like 20 stouts, and then they'll try and do a push through. I've seen players do it with pincers. There's lots of different ways that you can support your allies, but that's what this is about, and that they are the key components when you're playing from the pond position and the boxes that you want to tick. All right, let's move on to the Geo position. All right, if you've watched any channel or any videos on this channel before, there's a good chance you know exactly what's going to go down here. So let's get to it. Let's talk about the Geo, what your obligations are, what your opening build order looks like. So we're starting it off with 2 mexes, and then we're walking to our 3rd mex where we'll put it down. And the reason why we're doing this is because of these trees here. So with these trees, the key here is that we're going to be looking to reclaim them. Now, if we were on the other side, we'd be instead starting right here, building this mex, and then coming up to these 2. And then we would build our lab somewhere here, and then we could eat the trees straight away. We want proximity to those trees. Really important. So after we've done this, what we're now going to be looking to do is throw down our wind turbines. So I normally like to start off with 3 wind turbines, and then I put my lab down after that. However, you can always look to go for 4 if you want to be safe, or you can play for 2 if you've got high wind and you're feeling a little bit greedy. Maybe you've got overflow, or maybe your pond gives you a title. I've had that in a couple of games, and I tell you what, that's really quite nice when it does actually happen. I'm thinking there might be a meta where you actually ask pond for a title just because you can. Why not? So here you can see we're only sitting at 12 wind speed. So it's a little bit dangerous for us to actually be doing this, because if wind speed stalls, we may potentially lose out on the grave robber. So what we're going to do here to offset this is we're going to build a solar collector once we've gotten this up. So we're going to go into a total of 3 grave robbers, 2 construction bots. Now, I'm going to pause the game here because there's a variable that is involved, and that is this player to the south. If this player is a strong player, there's a good chance he's going to ask you for a constructor, and there's a good chance that he's going to ask you for a resbot, a grave robber, or a Lazarus, in which case you need to be prepared for that. So in this case, I would just add in 1 extra grave robber. So let's talk about our obligations and what our requirements are here as the Geo. Our job as the Geo is to give back up to the front. Now, we don't want to hit them with T1 units. The idea is we want to hit them with T2 units. They need to be stronger units that are able to overpower the front. By the same token, the enemy Geo will be doing the same, and they'll be looking to overpower our T1 units, so we need to mitigate them as well. The Geo is very much a flex position in the sense that you can flex into whatever it is that you like. If you want to help out front and then focus on your economy, you can do that. If you want to help out front and then focus on winning the sea, you can do that. There's lots of different ways that you can play it, and that's part of the reason why I love it so much. So let's continue now with the build order. So here you can see our energy, our wind still hasn't really gone up. We're now going to guard up our lab. You can see our energy goes down so quickly. We're going to make sure we change it to low priority, and immediately we can get that grave robber out, and now he's going to be gathering all of that energy up really, really efficiently. That's going to allow us to get our 2nd grave robber out. We want him doing the same thing. So let's go, and we want them sucking up different parts. It just reduces the amount of movement that we've got. 3rd grave robber is going to come out and going to suck from over here, just because this amount of trees that we've got is not enough for us to sustain 3 grave robbers. So only want to go for 2. On the other side of the map, that may change. Here, this first constructor is going to come down and build a Geo in this position right here. And now we're going to look to get out our next constructor. And we'll also queue up. We've got that 1 extra grave robber. This constructor is going to come up towards the front, or towards these trees. And this constructor, our first constructor, is now going to come over, build this metal extractor, and then come down towards the south. That's the whole game plan. This one is going to be given off to this player. So let's go ahead and give it to him now. There you go, buddy. So that will go over to him. And now we're looking to complete our geothermal power plant as quickly as we can. We want to make sure that these guys have all got jobs to do. You don't want them to stop sucking up, and then you're wondering where all your energy is. Well, I've done that many a time. Now, the key number that we're looking for here is 70%. Now, we're not having a good game with regard to wind. Unfortunately, when you're playing, and I will just pause it here. In single player, the wind generation is a lot worse than multiplayer. I don't know why. That's just the way it is. And so one of the things I will often do is I will actually tweak the settings of the... I don't do this whenever I'm recording. It's only when I'm practicing. I will tweak the settings to give me a static wind amount, just because it's so inconsistent in single player compared to multiplayer that it's like I would have to scrap 90% of my games because wind has hit 0 in 90% of my games, or 1. out of 10. Like, if I'm playing 10 games, 9 of them it goes to 0 in the first minute. And it's just like, this is not reasonable. It doesn't happen like that in multiplayer. So for whatever reason, anyway, that's why it's so low at the moment. Very variable. So this is now going to be given off to our ally down in the south. They're going to instead, or they will give us 220 metal. That's something I totally forgot to consider. So we're going to be relying on that 220 metal. Now, I was talking a little bit there, so apologies. So normally this guy should be down at 70%. When this is let me pause it for a second. When the geothermal power plant is at 70%, you want this guy to start walking. And the reason why is because we need to build the construction turrets. So we'll go ahead, we'll add in these 2 construction turrets. These are very specific locations that we're adding them in. These 2 are going to suck this up, and this Lazarus is going to hit all of these rocks along the edge here. Commander, can you please guard? Okay, so from here, the goal is that we want to suck these up, and then we want to clear the trees at the back. And our goal here is that we want to try and help our front as quickly as we possibly can. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in a vehicle lab here. And as it is getting close to complete, so we're going to add in the construction vehicle. We're going to bring these Lazarus back in over here. We're going to move the commander to the other side together with the construction bot. And now we're going to get ready to build our T2 lab. And here we go. Lovely. And we just want to make sure that we spend all of our metal on this. What is going on here? There we go. I think someone was repairing. And now we're going to blow up our commander. We're going to bring everybody along for the ride. So you can see that we're building up this lab. We're blowing him up a little bit late here. And the idea is that we're going to go and eat that metal. Oh, my lord. We got a little bit too close for comfort right there. Sorry, that should not have happened. And it couldn't happen at a worse time, but that's all right. So anyway, what's going to happen here is we're gonna suck up the commander. And now we're at the 440 minute mark. We've had some pretty bad wind here. We can also eat the solar collector. Keep that in mind. And now from here, we can eat our bot. So we're not going to need to eat this, but we're now going to send some Quakers to the front. We're going to make 4 Quakers, an Omen, and an advanced construction vehicle. So just to pause it here, number 1, that should not have happened. The Lazarus should have been a little bit further away. So that was my bad. If you see yourself doing that in your game, cancel your commander exploding and then actually move them away because you don't want to lose your Lazarus, really important. So that's the first thing. The 220 metal that we would have got from this guy, we don't have that yet. We've also got 150 metal in here. So we would be using our Lazarus to eat that. On top of that, we'd also be eating our constructor. So the whole idea here is that we're eating everything and we're putting all the available metal into this as quickly as we possibly can. So we're working here. One of the other things that you can do is you can put a energy converter down when you've got low metal, and you can just start building it, because these don't require any metal. 1 metal, I think it is. Yeah, 1 metal. So it's basically like free build power that you've got. So even here at the moment, right, you can see that we're pretty much able to keep up with our metal expenses. And you can do that as high as you'd like, right? Like you can grab this many of them if you want. Let's go ahead and put that down again. So it's that same idea. And so our Quakers are moving to the front. That's our first one. That's our second one out. So we're at 5 minutes 40 here. A little bit late. There were some variables that we couldn't control. And you can see now, just even with like the lab and the single construction turret, just how quickly you eat that metal. So it really just becomes like you can even just guard this guy up and that's still going to come out at the exact same rate. And ideally with these, like you want as many as you can. So from here, look, what we're going to do is we're going to speed up the game. I'm going to go ahead. I'll speed up the game up to 20. And now our construction vehicle is going to come out. So how long have we got on that construction vehicle? A little bit of time. Now, when you're building your metal extractors, you want to make sure that you're building them as close as you possibly can to this position. And the reason why is because by doing this, you're actually able to hit... Oh, let's make sure that you're actually working. We can get you up here working as well. By doing this, you can actually get all 3 of these metal extractors and make sure that they're all online. So up towards the front, you know, we've been able to... Let's do that instead. We've been able to help, and we're pushing back our allies, or pushing back our enemies, rather. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start taking these metal extractors, and we want to make sure that we only build 1. And what we're doing is we're coming back and just adding a little bit of build power to both of these and just keeping them alive. 1, 2. Okay, now they're online. So now, once again, we want to focus the same one. And we're going to do that same thing where we just give him a little bit. Just give him a little bit of love every couple of seconds. And now this constructor is going to come up here. We're going to give him over to our ally. Even if he doesn't pay, we don't care. We don't care. It's not about the pay. And now what we're going to do is after we've completed this second advanced metal extractor, we're then going to queue up a second advanced constructor vehicle. Once again, come out here, do that. Just give him a little bit of love. Just a little bit of love like that. And then once this is complete, so we're at 12% here, so we should be fine. Wonderful. Now we can get our second advanced construction vehicle out, and this one is going to come up and build these 3. So once again, we'll give it over to our ally here. And now our focus is on getting this one up. Now, one of the other things that we could do here, we can cancel this, is we could also build our advanced geo here. This is incredibly expensive to do. It's also dangerous. And there's a part of me that just says, look, at the moment, up to you if you want to do it. I'm not going to say put it in the build order. I am going to say that, you should be handing these off to your allies, though. This is quite important. But that's essentially it from the Geo spot. So just to recap it, what's your goals from the Geo spot? Your goals are to get units to the front. At the very least, you should be looking at around 4 Quakers, 4 Mausers. You could do 1 Tsar. You could do one... you could do a Banisher or 2. You could do snipers if you're playing bots. Lots of different options for you. So that's essentially your goal. And then from there, it's your goal's really up to you. But at the very least, you need to be helping front. You need to be providing T2 constructors to both of the front players. Very important for you to do. And then from there, you're kind of okay. Sometimes I even provide the T2 down here just because like the backline won't always provide the T2 out. So that's essentially it. Those are the front 4 positions and how they interact. These 2 are holding the front and securing the metal. This guy is kind of like supporting them and at the same time providing those ticks. We're coming through with the artillery, the siege a little bit later. You can just go straight units if you want. There are other ways that you can do this as well. Keep in mind, like you can buy a constructor from this position, but this is going to be your safest bet whenever you're playing in this position. Anyway, let's move on to our next position, which is going to be tech. All right, welcome to teching on Supreme. Now, the whole idea here is that we want to be providing T2s and we want to be getting to T2 very quickly. So that's going to be our goal. So we're starting off in this back position over here. We're starting with the mechs that's furthest away from the trees because we're going to be taking advantage of these trees here at the front once again. And one of the things that I like to do when I'm playing tech is I actually build to the grid. So just to explain it a little bit here, if you think about the way that we build our bases, right, like with aphyses and stuff like that, typically we're building them in like a square. Oh gosh, what was that? What is going on right there? I'm looking for something that I can use. Okay, here we go. This is a good example here. So this is like what your aphyses look like, okay? So if you were to build your aphyses, they're going to look like that. They fit perfectly in the square. If we were going to build advanced energy converters, they would look like that within the square. If we were going to build, I think that's probably too small. That's probably too small. What is there that's the same size as a nano? Here we go. And normal energy converters. Why are you so big all of a sudden? What is going on? Is it because I'm paused? Maybe it's because I'm paused and the game just kind of gets messy. Yeah. So there you can see the nanos. So we want to try and keep to these squares. So what I'm actually doing here is I'm building the same way I would build within these squares. So even though it's not optimal in the sense of I'm trying to rush this out, right? Like it's not the fastest that it could be. Later on in this game, it's going to be much better for me and my base building because it's going to mean that this is positioned exactly where it should be in the event I wanted to build advanced energy converters. It only takes up 1 spot. By the same token, down here, as you can see, it syncs up perfectly. So the idea is that we want to build it within this thing. And then, of course, you've then got the nanos. So your nanos will look, oh my God, will look like that. And then here we're only taking up 1 aphis spot. So there you go. You can see that that's only taking up the single aphis spot. So that's the idea. Anyway, let's get to it. So we're starting off with 3 of our metals. We're then also going to follow that same rule where we put down 3 winds, But depending on how wind is going, we may add in more, or we may do, well, I don't really like to do less. It's much more important to finish your lab with a full energy bar than it is to just finish your lab quickly. So yeah, that's a really important thing to remember. So 18 wind at the moment, looking good. 18.2, we're just going to do it. We're going to go straight into the bot lab. So let's go ahead and do that. Now keep in mind, there might be a little bit of overflow from our ally here if the wind is good, but you can see we are moving towards that. And we're going to start it off with 2 Lazarus and then 2 construction bots. Now, one thing to note, this player will almost certainly ask for a constructor. Always give him that constructor. So let's get back into it. Commander going to drop down another wind turbine here. And then after that wind turbine, well, I guess technically if the energy is this good, then you can absolutely go ahead and just push this out straight away. So let's go ahead and do that. Second one is then going to come up and we're going to eat all of these rocks. You can just right click on the rock and then it will select all the rocks for you, prioritize them, then you can go back to eating. This construction bot is going to come out and he's going to drop a nano. Now keep in mind we're building our nanos on this column, I guess is probably the best way to say it. And then he's going to go up towards the top. And our commander doesn't need to boost this constructor out. And you can see at the moment that we're kind of struggling with our energy. So what we can then do is turn around and we can make a wind. And in this situation, we don't want to make a solar. We really need our metal as much as we possibly can. So just even tapping like this is absolutely fine. We want to make sure that this guy is just going and grabbing all the energy that he can. He's going to be coming over here. This is where normally the commander is going to be blowing up. And we can look to add in a second nano. We want to make sure that we're always touching all 3 of our... Let's just add in a whole bunch of winds here, but we want to make sure we're always touching all 3 of our metals. And here we're going to turn this bad boy around. We're going to do this. And there is a method to this madness, I assure you. So we're adding in our winds. We also can add in a storage here. I think it's quite important for us to do that. So let's go ahead and add that in, and we're going to start getting our commander ready, prepared to blow up. So normally we're still a bit early at this time to do it, so we can definitely take it a bit slow. We can start eating our bot lab here. We can also bring back our Lazarus if we wanted to do that. And now what we're also going to do is add in just a couple of energy converters on this top side here. As our commander is walking out towards it, we'll get a little bit of assistance here. We can also help out with the T2 lab. That's absolutely fine. And if we take a look here, we're at 16 wind turbines, which is a good amount. So anywhere at like the 16, 18 sort of range is absolutely fine. And now our commander, we can get him moving out. So we're at the 3-minute mark, so still quite early here. We're building up our energy as well, and our commander is ready to blow. So let's go ahead and do it. Make sure that we don't get our Lazarus too close. And now we're going to start sucking up all of that delicious metal. So at this stage, that's enough that we've got there. Oh, this guy totally was meant to go off down here. Apologies. Apologies. The commander was the one building all those. Just think in that time the commander was the guy that was building all of the wind turbines, not this random guy. And we should have an extra 110 metal from that. I guess that's something to note. So here you can see we're at the 3-minute, 4-minute mark, and we're going to put in an advanced construction bot straight away. And okay, we're going to build that last wind turbine as well. Why not? Absolutely. I'm all for it. Don't worry, we're all for it. Cool. So once this guy is blown up, we'll now get these guys back over onto energy. If the wind does fall, then it means that we will essentially be getting even more energy back from these guys. So from here, what we're now going to look to do is our air player. If they're a strong air player, one of the things that they will do is happily give you a transporter. So what we would do is we'd say, please give me transport now. And they're going to give you a light transport. They need to do that before they reclaim their lab, if they're going to reclaim the lab. Okay, so they would then give that to you. So what that actually looks like, if we type in cheat and then we go give Atlas, it looks like one of these. Normally it would be a core one, so, but we're just going to do the arm. So let's have a look and see exactly how we do it. So we're going to make our guy up here flying. We're going to do this. We're going to put him down. We're going to use our constructor to go down. Let's also help out here. And he's going to do this one. And we're going to pick him up. We're going to unload him. We're going to do that same thing that we were doing in the Geo spot. We're just moving him around. And now we're going to send him down over to here. And the whole idea is, so now he is going to be part of the air player. So the air player will have given you metal, okay? He would have given you 400 metal. So let's do that. And now let's add him over. Make sure we get these blueprints here. So you can see now the air player is now going to be building those. We've already built them for him. Make sure that we don't lose our blueprints here. And now we're just chilling. Now we're just waiting. Making sure that we don't lose those blueprints. Okay, so now we're going to pick one to focus on. We're going to focus on this one on the left. Make sure we don't lose the blueprint. We're at 9% here, so probably giving it a little bit too much juice, but that's okay. And so now you can see that we're kind of like stalling on our metal. So we can actually build butlers here. I wouldn't recommend it because it will technically drain you and you don't need the build power yet. But after this second one is complete, you can now build a butler. So let's just do that. So we've done our job at this point. So we're going to go into one butler. All right, so butler now going to be coming out. The butler's going to help with the build power, and then after that, we'll go into the advanced construction bot as well. And then we're going to think about giving that to Geo Sea, and then we'll give to Pond as well. So you can see the timing at the moment, 6:20. This will be a lot faster if we had that metal being donated in, because you can always add that butler in earlier as well to help you boost it up. But ideally, you only want that one advanced constructor to come out, give you all of these that you need, and then from there, you're giving him off to other players. So here, as an example, we're going to go up here and do this. 1, 2, 3. Like that. And let's make sure we're ready to pick him up. And so we're going to give him over to the ally. And then we're going to pick him up and we're going to drop him off over there. And we can do another one as well. Because we've kind of done everything that we need to. So now that we've done that, we can move these guys out after this. So I guess one of the things that we probably should have done that we didn't do here is got the blueprint for this. So we could use that bot right there to put the blueprint for this and then use the butler and the constructor to build that. Because now you can see like we've kind of got a little bit of idle time here. So we can go out and do that. But essentially that's your start. Okay? That's your opening build order. Let's talk about some of the deviations that may be made from that or may be made from here. So the first thing is if your front is under pressure. So let's say Shadow Whisper over here is having a bit of a hard time on front. Maybe the enemy is like started encroaching on him and Geo's got the T2 that's coming out, but it's still not looking good. What we could do, instead of going into the advanced construction bot, is we go into the gunslinger instead. And the idea is the same thing. Instead of moving the gunslinger down to our air player, we would move the gunslinger across over here to our front player. And we can transfer it over to them, or we can look to micro it ourselves. So that's our first flex option. To be honest, that's really your only flex option. You ideally shouldn't be going more than one gunslinger because it's going to slow you down. It's going to slow everyone's T2 down. It's going to result in thousands of metal being lost. From here, where do you go? Let's just play it out a little bit longer because Eco is quite a complex position. So we put those down and now we'll give these over to Pond. So we probably should have done this the first time here. So let's go and move that out. So from here, what we're now going to do is go into a whole bunch of butlers. We want lots and lots of butlers. And like, I'm not kidding you when I say like 27 butlers is absolutely fine. Like you're probably a little bit on the low side. No, I'm just kidding. So we're going to take these 3 butlers here. And what we're going to do is we're going to tell them to build wind turbines. We're going to build a whole stack of wind turbines and we're going to cut out the middle like that. So we want to go 5 wide. And the reason why we do this, let's actually get them over to help here. The reason why we do this is because you can efficiently build to both sides. And if someone comes through here with a unit and takes them out, they won't chain onto each other 100%. We're actually stalling out here, so we need to move everybody onto low priority. Just because whenever you see that happening, you want to make sure that you avoid that at all costs. That's why. Wind is low. Wind is always low in single player. So we need to start scaling our wind. But at the same time, the sooner our metal is up, then we can start scaling our wind. That's part of the reason why we did all of this down here. So we've now got our second butler that is out. Another thing to note is that you can also hand butlers off to your allies. Don't do it until you've at least got build power that's assisting here. Because as you'll see, we've only got these 2 construction turrets here for the moment. The rest of it needs to just be butlers. So let's say if the ally asked for butlers right now, what we would do is we would then send that butler up over here like this, but we would leave these 2 butlers. We don't want to give them the existing butlers because that's our build power that we need to make sure that our metal doesn't stack up too high. You can see we're having so much trouble here because wind speed is just doing what it does in single player games, and so once again we would look to do that there. Why are we still? There's one butler that's on. We can't turn. Yeah, it's on. Oh no, that's the factory priority, not the units that come from the factory's priority. But you can see like wind is just absolutely struggling. So next set of butlers, I kind of like to stagger my my wind turbines so that I don't build them all at the same point. Because if you build them all here, then it doesn't really leave you a lot of space in the base. And because of that, right, like we're going to need to go into Aphis. Like if we're just thinking about how is this base going to look, just to like go a little bit further, it's going to look like this. I always like to put my Aphis all the way down here. We're going to reclaim the things that we don't want. And our construction nanos are going to go like this and down. So we keep them all in a line. And then we're also going to put the advanced energy converters. Just like that. And eventually we're going to reclaim these and we can put more advanced energy converters out to here because you can see these nanos should be able to reach pretty much all the way out there. So you can see even if like 1 or 2 nanos can reach, it's fine. They'll be able to build it. And then from here, we're also going to be looking to eventually what we would do is we would replace these nanos with aircraft plant. So we would go for the advanced aircraft plant, or you could put bot labs on the outside like this. And then you can spam down this direction. You can also add in, I would always encourage even more nanos. Like, you can never have too many nanos. I mean, you totally can, but like, anyway. And then, so from here, what you can do is, so you're building Aphis on this side, you can get even more. So just keep in mind, like, we would have reclaimed all of our wins at this point. And from here, you can go like that. And then, of course, you know what's coming down in the middle. It's going to be your T3 lab. Now, of course, our T3 lab doesn't fit right there, so we need to make sure it is in the perfect spot. So that's where the perfect spot would be. But that's the general idea when it comes to like base building, and yeah, essentially that's it. We want to make sure all of these are correct. But yeah, that's essentially it from the eco spot. Oh, and then from here, with all of these butlers that you've got, you're building a whole bunch of just energy converters and wind turbines. Like that's literally it. Like across the map, you're just building all of these energy converters and wind turbines, and you're just taking 3 at a time. That's all you need. And like, don't be too worried. Like that's perfectly fine. You don't have to do this like the row splitting. I would encourage it for the ones close to your home, but I would say for like down here, like this is a really good spot. I love to come down here. No one uses that spot. Another spot that gets rarely used is like right here. So you'd have your wind turbines in here as well. When it comes to spacing, like you want them to be only 1 tile away. So I'd say like, you know, we want to be doing something like this. And then that way, you got it nice and close. And then we also want to be just building the energy converters. So you can build the energy converters down here like that. You can also get where is he? Your flying guy, your stork. You can move some butlers up here, and you can get a whole bunch of them. That works. And you can also build your energy converters down here at the bottom. There's quite a bit of space for that because you can reclaim them, right? Like, because this is going to be like the core of your building early on. So there's that, and then there's like another spot that people do there. You don't really want to build too much around here because Frontline needs to build their stuff back here as well. But like, this is a really easy one to just kind of like put in there, and then if someone says, "Hey, I need that space," you can just give it to them, or like Control D, and that will fix it. But yeah, from the eco position, that's essentially it. Let's move on to our next position, which is going to be air. All right, let's get into it with air. So keep in mind that air is probably one of the hardest roles to play on Supreme because it is incredibly reactive and dependent on scouting. Let me just fix up my screen right now. There we go. It's reactive and dependent on scouting. So we're going to start it off with a pretty basic opening here, 3 mexes. And once again, we're following that same grid. It's very important when you're playing air, you must play as core. And that's because you have access to the shuriken. So now that we've got our 3 mexes down, we're going to be looking to put down some wind turbines as well. If you've got obsessive compulsive disorder, don't make sure you put them on the grid. Kind of important. And we're going to put down a lot of wind turbines here. Now, I'm going to show you the play that I like to do. It's a bit of a cheeky play, but I love it. So let's get into it and talk about it. So we do a lot of wind turbines here. Now, I'm going to slow it down because at this point, you would have asked your allies for orders. So what do you want? What do you want? And they will say something like, 1 scout, one trans. Like that. Or one scout, 1 heavy. So let's say that these are our orders. So this guy has asked for 1 scout, 1 trans, and this guy has asked for 1 scout, 1 heavy. Okay? We need to remember that. Let's go. So they're going to be giving us wind for each of these. So what that means is that, let me just pause it. Instead of them sending us metal, they're going to give us wind turbines. So if we enable cheat right now, we can give wind, so we can give 1. Normally, so he's asked for a scout and a trans, so he would give us 2. And this guy is probably going to be a little bit later here, but normally for this, he's going to give us 3. So let's just give ourselves 3 here, and something like that. And so now what's going to happen is we have a lot of wind that is being generated. So we need to create a storage for it. And that's important because as an air player, a lot of your units require a huge amount of energy. So that's what we're going to be doing here. We're going to spin this around as well, just so that we're able to access that landing pad, because that's where we're going to be able to supervise units from. So now we've got the storage. You'll see it starts to go up quite a lot. So now we got to think about our order. Okay. So what are we opening, or what do we need? We need a scout and a trans and a scout and a heavy. But as I said, we're doing something cheeky today. So you can only do this when you've got good wind. If the wind is bad, you can't do it. So what are we doing? We're going 1 bomber, 1 finch, or 1 scout. Then we'll do their orders. So we need to do the scout and the trans. So let's do the trans and then the scout. And then we'll do the heavy and then the scout. And then from there, so we've got our little attack that we're doing, and we're also got their orders. Now, what do we want? Well, we want at the very least 1 fighter, just in case we need to deny an enemy bomber, and we want a construction aircraft. That's it. And after that, we'll have a Hercules as well, so we can throw that in. We need that for ourselves, and we need 1 for this guy. Sometimes Geo requests 1, but let's not get too complex. Let's go. So now that we've got this coming up, we want to make sure that at this point, we don't need to add any more wind in. We've already got like 5 winds here. We got 2 from this guy, 3 from this. So we're sitting on 10 winds. It's quite a lot. So we just need to make sure that we're guarding this plant. So the bomber is going to come out. We're going to give it a route. We're going to go through like this. And we're looking to attack this guy right here. So we start with the bomber. And you can see that it's going to cost us a lot of energy, minus 419. But because we got the storage in, we're fine. So from here now, we've got our finch that's coming in. And now our next request is from top or a Geo Sea, so we always want to give it to them first. So let's give that over to Geo Sea. Now you'll see the finch has overtaken the bomber. We'll give him control group 1, and this finch is going to come up here as well. And now these guys will come across there. And so what we're doing is we're looking to come and scout out Geo, and then we want to try and sneak this finch into the back of the enemy base like that. All right, how are we doing down here? There is the heavy that's coming through now. And here's our bomber. Okay, we've spotted out the enemy titles. They're all right here. So what we're going to do, bring our bomber over like this, and boom. Go for the attack right there. We'll come back and we'll give that over to our ally. We've got the thing. Where are we? Here we go. So he's done the bombing run. He's now coming back around. And the second bombing run, if it hits, it's going to kill all of these lovely titles. Wonderful. And now he's just been killed by a fighter. And back home. Okay, now we continue where we left off. All right, so that's it. That was the cheeky little opening that I wanted to show you. You can't do it with low wind. If you get low wind, what's going to happen is it delays everything. And this guy over here, see, he needs to have this transport because for this for him to be able to take this sea right here, he needs to get swimming very early on. And he relies on this transport to transport his constructor and his con turret over to this position. So we need to get this to him ASAP. This guy here can be a little bit later. I don't think it's, like, obviously you still want to try and get there, but it's not going to work if the wind is low. So don't do the bomber if the wind is low. On top of that, it kind of relies on the enemy, who is also going to be doing something similar, but like not with the bomber, but they're going to be doing their orders first, and then they're going to be doing the fighter. They have to interrupt their orders to make the fighter, then they can do this. So that's essentially the idea. Okay, so let's get into it. And unpause. So we're going to cancel this Hercules just for the moment, just because we don't need it. And we're going to put these construction turrets down. We're going to supervise with our commander. And at this point, you can see that we're starting to have a little bit of energy issues. I like making in little groups like this, and I want to make 4 construction turrets. I know, it's kind of crazy. And the whole idea here, and we can do this. Oh, you know what I'm forgetting? Just give me a sec. I'm forgetting something. We would have had it a long time ago. So give arm construction K-bot. Yes, it worked. Wonderful. So this guy right here. So we're going to go ahead and donate off. I don't think we can give the metal because it's kind of weird. I don't know if you guys can see this, but like in the bottom right hand corner, I can't click the give metal button because the clear maps marking button is over the top of it. We can give him energy. Anyway, okay, let's just pretend we're minus 100 minus 100 metal. It doesn't change anything. I'll just say that right now. Everything is still exactly the same. So he's going to come in. He's going to build this, and we're going to move him down towards this area. Make sure we always finish the nano before we start building our winds. And at this point, we want to make sure that we put everything onto low priority, just in case we stall wind. So you can see we're down at 9 wind at the moment. We've got our fighter that's here. We've also got our scout in the back of the enemy base that hopefully they haven't been able to track it. They don't know exactly where it is. And so at this point here, we can start making some more winds. We want to make sure that they're always within reach of the nanos. We can also start making winds with this constructor. Keep in mind, this is an arm constructor, whereas this is a core constructor. We can make some more winds here. And we really want to make sure that we start filling up our energy bar. So you can see here that it's slowly starting to fill up. And now we're also going to start thinking about adding in some energy converters. So let's go ahead. We're not going to add it with the commander. We'll continue adding wind down here. You can see that we're a little bit low on our metal. So what we're going to do is we're going to reclaim our aircraft lab. But before we do that, pause. Before we do that, we're forgetting something. What do we need? We need to get Hercules. So we want 2. We need 1 for us and 1 for him at the very least. Okay, so let's make sure we don't get too crazy without eating.
Battle started.
All right, there's the Hercules. So we want to do that. And you can come out here and build all of these. And let's get the next Hercules out. Okay, and then now we can eat this. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now at this stage, what we're going to do is send... Oh, you come back here, my friend. We're going to send our metal over. Oh, we still can't send the metal. Hold on. How do we send the metal? Okay, let's pretend that sending the metal is the metal storage. Because it's very low. Yeah, we're going to send a metal storage. And it's got build power as well. All right, so everybody build the metal storage. And we need like something that's like 200 metal. Do we just make a second one? Let's just make a second one. And it's fine. Actually, is it fine? Not really. Oh, we'll make a laser turret. That's kind of close. We should actually make 2 laser turrets. Because then that's representative of the constructor as well. Because we want to be accurate here, right? Okay, so that's all done. Cool. Commander, it's time for you to go suck trees. Okay, because right now... Pause. The advanced constructor is about to fly in. And when the advanced constructor flies in, we need to be absolutely on the ball with everything that we're about to do. So let's bring our commander back. We don't actually want to eat trees right now. And this is enough energy for the moment. So let's go ahead. We're going to pretend give arm advanced construction K-bot. He's just flown in, and this is where he's landed. Let's go. Boom. Straight away. He's on that. Let's get this guy over here, and now we're going to start moving him around. We're going to get the commander to work this as well. Now, keep in mind, the biggest restrictor you're going to have here at this early stage is going to be on metal. So, once again, focusing all of our efforts just on getting up these advanced metal extractors as much as we can. And we're now going to move this out over towards here. Move that constructor across. Bring this guy over here like this. So you can see we've still got quite a bit of metal. We could have afforded to get a couple more energy converters, but it's okay for the moment. Let's move that in like this. And now we're going to bring him back. So let's drop him off over here. And this constructor can come out. Just make sure that we're always just giving a little bit here. And at this point, so we could have blown the comm now, but I wouldn't recommend going this early for it. Normally you want to be doing that around the 7-minute mark. Make sure that we're finishing off all of these. We can even get this constructor to come out and help out over here. And what we're going to be doing after we finish this is we're going to be putting down a fusion. Now keep in mind, I will just provide this caveat now that the build that I'm showing you is the build that I like to do. I think it is susceptible, right? It is susceptible to early aggression. If the other air player was going to make a whole bunch of fighters and a whole bunch of bombers, you would be susceptible. But this is what has been the meta at the top level for some time now. A build that looks like this, that looks similar to this. We want to put these on high priority over here. And we're going to blow that commander up. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll bring this one in. Boom. So now we can start eating. And we're looking to try and complete this one first. And then we're going to look to try and finish off our fusion. So shout out to Not Real, aka David Skinner Bar, because I was actually watching his channel. I saw something very similar to this build. I said, hey, you know what? That looks like a really good build that he's been practicing. So he is the inspiration for this and how this is functioning. So now that we've got this down, we're going to move our nano-lathing turrets back. And you can see that we're still working this down. Not a bad timing here as well. You can get it much faster than this, but obviously that's going to be dependent very much on your allies and your tech and how quick your tech is. I had one in a game that I played where basically the constructor came in at about like 6 minutes 40. And because of that, I was so far behind that it meant that I was behind the enemy air player, and then it meant that I died because of that. So you do have to be cautious about that. So I would just say keep that in mind. But even at this stage right here, you can see we're doing relatively well here. We've got about 600 metal left in the bank. And the goal from here is that we want to look to transition out of this. What our transition out of this is going to be is an aircraft platform and then a whole bunch of construction turrets. And we want them to be in line, right? Like we don't want them to be out of line, which is normally what happens when you bring them back here. You can't always get them down perfect. So you want to try and bring them down until you can get them perfect. I don't even know. How did you even do that? I'm not sure. You can see we've got an 815. Yeah, 815 fusion, which is not bad. So you can eat your constructor. I wouldn't recommend it just because you kind of need him. But you could also technically, at this point, eat your con turrets, but yeah, just not worth it to do it. So from here, and we're just going to make 100 fighters. That's the goal. So at this stage, you could have died, right? You could have died significantly. You haven't contributed much as air. You've bombed over on this position, which has cut the energy out of the front. So you would hope that front's a little bit stronger than what it should be. So maybe there's been shurikens that your enemies had to make. But other than that, you guys should be pretty much same resources at this point. And they could have invested like 15 fighters and 10 bombers, and they could have just started killing you. In the event that that happens, okay, you need to be saying to your allies, make AA now, okay? Make AA now. Like that. That is incredibly important that you do that because the truth is you're in the middle of building a fusion. You can't make fighters, right? Like this is our goal because one of the things that people don't realize is that with air, it is not a make air only position anymore. It is very much a scaling position, the same way that eco is. And the truth is, if you do this and you get away with it, you're going to come out 10 times better than the guy over on this side who didn't. The guy who built 20 fighters and just sat there on his thumbs and said, yeah, these 20 fighters are going to keep us safe. Well, great. They kept you safe, but your enemy was not going to attack you because they were making a fusion. So that's essentially it from this position. So there is a lot of nuance to air. This is the build that I've been favoring at the moment. Obviously, you could, instead of going for the fusion, you could instead look to just make a whole bunch of winds, right? Like you drop the aircraft plant, build a whole bunch of nanos, build a whole bunch of winds with it as well. And then that way you're scaling your energy through wind instead of through fusion, and it's not at risk. The other thing to note is that you could make additional fusions after this. I wouldn't recommend it though. I think the one fusion is absolutely fine. And then from there, we're now building up. So you can see our metal's starting to build up here. And if we wait a little bit longer, it will continue to build up even more. So even with this many con turrets, 8 con turrets, and the advanced and the construction bot helping build this, you can see our metal is still going up at this stage because we've got the 4 advanced energy or advanced metal constructors. So this is really the break point of this, because now we're just going crazy. Compare that to earlier where we had like 2 nanos and we're building units. This is going to be significantly faster. So that's essentially it when it comes to this build order and the way that I like to play it at the moment. As I said, a little bit more of a risky build order, but definitely one that can be quite rewarding for you. The other thing to note is that with this scout in the back of the base, what you want to be doing is just bringing him up like this and just checking the enemy at points that are important. So if the commander blows, you want to check and see, okay, what's that building? Is that building most likely a fusion? That's a good example. But like right there, you'd be able to see pretty much everything. And you can scout out the enemy and they won't even know you're up here. A good player will know that you've probably got a scout hidden behind here and they will come and check it. But most players normally aren't going to be doing that. So that's essentially it. And already at this point, you can see that we've been able to recover our air. It's the 10-minute mark. We're already up to 33 fighters, which is a very decent amount of fighters here, and should be able to hold off on most attacks. I will just say right now, of course, if your enemy, like let's say if your enemy gets a leak through, all of a sudden what you're going to do is you're going to cancel what you're doing and just start making shurikens and rally them out towards that position. You can even use the fight command as well, just so that they intercept anything along that line automatically. So here you can see these guys are coming out with that fight command already. And you want to make sure it comes to the front of the queue. You can do that by pressing Alt and clicking. So Alt, click, 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 click. I'm going to build 9 shurikens now before I go back to building my fighters. And they're all going to come out and they're all going to fight in that direction. So that is something that you want to be doing because that is your role. That's your obligation as an air player to be making sure that those leaks are getting caught. Because the truth is, we can't always have perfect players on the front and that there will be leaks that come through. So early on, you know, you're giving out your orders or having your orders coming through. You also need to consider that shurikens are incredibly important for you to have. They're great at winning sea as well. Really helpful throughout the game. But that's essentially it. Let's move on to our next role, which is going to be the Geo Sea. Okay, so let's get into Geo Sea. Now, I will just caveat this by saying that I have not played a lot of Geo Sea games. So the stuff that I'm saying, I'm 90% confident in it, but I'm sure that if you look into the minute stuff, there might be a bit of an issue. Anyway, let's get into it. So we're starting off with a 3-mex opening here. And the goal is that we're going to be building up quite a bit of wind in the early game because we're going to be giving this to our backliners, specifically our air player. So let's go ahead and we'll drop those down now. So I like to always drop down the 2 that I'm giving away separately to the ones of my own. So I'm going to start by doing 3 and then doing 4 for myself. Now, if you've got a good wind, you could probably get away with doing 3 winds here rather than doing 4. So when we have a look at the timing that we're actually doing this on the wind, it's important to note we should be aiming for about the minute time frame, 50 seconds to a minute. So don't forget to hand these off. You can see that already we're getting quite high on the energy. We're building up here. So we're just going to go ahead and hand these off now. So they've been given. So our order, and I should say, our order is a scout plus a trans. Okay, so that's what we're essentially asking for here, and this is what we've paid for. So now that we've done that, we're going to move into our construction plan, or for our bots. Keep in mind, you can do this with ARM, you can do this with Core. It doesn't really matter what your preference is for this position. I've seen a few more people going Core than going into ARM. And we're starting out, we're going for 1, 2, 3 grave robbers, 2 construction bots, 3 construction bots, a trasher, and a grunt. That is how we're playing it, and we're looking to guard up this. A little bit of idle time right here. You probably could have gotten about 50% of a wind turbine in, so keep that in mind, but we're going to go with that early grave robber to get out over onto this position here. And then once we've idled out over here, we can also look to add in another wind turbine, or we can just keep spamming out our grave robber. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Once we've got the second one in, it makes it pretty easy for us. And our third grave robber is going to come out over onto this position and then grab all of the metal, or all of the rocks, and then all of the trees. So at this point in time here, we'll just pause it. So we've got our 3 grave robbers that have gone out. First 2 over towards energy, and the third one out towards rocks, and then following it up with energy. These are our rocks. Nobody shall take these from us. And here we're now looking to get our construction bot out. Our first construction bot, and we're looking to put down, as soon as we can, we want to get a con turret down. We want to make sure that we step out of the radius of the build. We're going to put down the construction turret, and now we're going to start building the construction turret with our commander. We're going to grab our construction bot, and we're going to move him over here, and we're going to build a shipyard. At the same time, I'm now going to pause the game because our stork has come through from our ally. In fact, we can even leave it for a little bit just to show you. So at this point here, you'll be waiting for your stork to come in. Let's do it right now. 220. That's relatively. So let's give Atlas. Oh, we don't have cheats enabled. Give Atlas. There we go. Cool. So now we've got cheats and we've got ourselves an Atlas. Now we've paid for these 2. Keep in mind, we could also give a Finch. Finch. Is it a Fig? Finn, Air Scout. That is not what I wanted. Anyway, we've got a Dragon Slayer, an anti-air ship. I thought it was an armed air scout. I don't know what the command is, so we'll play without the scout. That's fine. We'll get rid of this guy. So let's go ahead. So we're going to grab this, and we're going to move him over here. We're going to pick him up, and we're going to make sure that we put the blueprint down first. Second constructor is going to come, and he's going to make a single metal extractor up here. And once that's done, we're now at a point here where we can move out with our commander as well. So we've dropped him down, the first of the bots. Now we're going to come back and we're going to pick up this nano. We're going to drop this nano down somewhere around here. We want to make sure that he can reach. And as you'll see that as we're walking, we're kind of a little bit low on our energy. Let's just pause it real quickly. We're a little bit low on our energy. So what we're going to do is with our commander, we're going to kind of like walk and talk is the best way I like to think about it. So when your energy gets to a certain point here, you can see we've stopped making units. So our energy is going to start going up. So what we want to do is we actually want to make an energy storage. So if we're low on energy, we'll make wind turbines. If our energy is going up, we'll make an energy storage. So we're going to go ahead and do that after this wind turbine right here. We'll do it while we're on the walk. Now let's look at our other units that we've got and what we're doing with those. So we've kind of gone over what happens with this construction bot and how he works and what his game plan is. And moving over the nano over here, the idea is that we want to get in the water and we want to get in the water early. Now where do we go from here? So we also need to bring our 2 grave robbers back. They're going to be eating this bot lab, and then they're going to be going back out over onto sucking up trees. So that's something that we want to do. Our grunt is going to be moving up towards this position, and it's called a trasher. It used to be called a thrasher. He's going to move down towards that spot. This bot right here is going to come across over here, and he's going to build some winds as well. So there's a lot going on right here, but yeah, essentially you move these 2 units up over here, and this guy's going to make winds. This one's going to come out over and grab this metal extractor. Actually, we want to grab that one right there, so it's a bit easier for us. Commander is also going to grab these 2 metal extractors and then move towards the water. We need to bring our stork out because his next goal is to get this anti-air bot over here onto the island. We need to contest the island. We've also now got our lab up and running, so we'll do that. We'll start off with 1 riptide and then a construction, the second riptide, and then we'll go into a herring and then an oppressor. I think that should be decent. Commander is still moving up. Our stork is now moving across here. Keep in mind, you'll have a scout this whole time. You're going to be scouting out the water, seeing where your enemy is up to. Our construction ship is going to build 1 and then 2 of the metal. And then at the same time, we're going to come back and guard this up. Here we only want to build 6 winds. And then we're going to build out here. And our construction bot is going to be the next guy that's coming out here. So you can see he's just finished this metal extractor. He's going to walk over towards this position right here. Let's put commander on high priority. He's going to come over here. We're going to drop him down. We're going to add in these two metal extractors. So now if we take a look at where we're at, so we're at the 4-minute and 16 mark. What have we achieved at this point in time? Well, we've got our energy storage. We've got quite a bit of wind here. We've, of course, got our anti-airship. But we've also taken all of our metal extractors. Now, one thing to note is we haven't yet taken our Geo. And the truth is we don't really need our Geo, at least not yet. It's definitely one of the goals that we will set. And you can see that we're going to be doing that after we get this wind down. But we want to make sure we get this wind down first. And then from here, our commander is now going to move into the sea. We're also going to be looking to come up towards the north. Oh my gosh, my trasher. This trasher, for anybody wondering, should not be here. He should be back here. He should be sitting right here, because often there'll be aircraft that come in here. So you might get a construction aircraft that comes through, or you might get a fighter that comes through, and you want to do your best to take that out. So that's essentially it. And then the final thing that we're going to be moving here. So we've completed this. Now keep in mind over here, we're going to be looking to contest the enemy, but not early. We don't want to contest early. We're just kind of chilling out, not until we get our destroyer. At least that's as far as I'm aware. That is essentially it. And now we grab our stork. So he's dropped down this constructor, and we're going to come back and we're going to grab the last piece of the puzzle, the grunt. We're going to move the stork up to the edge of the map, drop the grunt down, come back, and then he can just chill out over here for now. Commander is moving to the middle of the map. I like to move him towards these giant anemones, and they've got energy inside them, so they're great to suck out if you need energy at the time. Also, another thing to note is if, as you can see right now, we've got no metal, and we're kind of like building this, but at the same time we're not. What we can do is we can just use our construction turret here to do this instead. So we can do something like that. And then that's going to allow us... Oh, thank you very much for the assistance right there. So once again, we're going to go into 2 riptides, a herring, and an oppressor, and we're going to put that on repeat here. So now that we've got that oppressor, we can probably push out. It's 5 minutes 30. On top of that, our commander's coming up. He's going to look to try and help secure this out here, this metal. We're going to try and contest it. That's going to be our first point of contention. Maybe looking to harass the enemy a bit. I'm just going to pause it once again to say, when it comes to water, I am not the best at water. So I'm just trying to give something to you guys that get out there. I have people in my game sometimes, and they take this position and they don't even contest water, and they don't really know what to do. So this is kind of for you. That's essentially where we're at with this. So I'm just showing you the things that I've kind of like put together and cooked up, and just think maybe it's decent. So we want to try and stay within this cove at least until we can get a bit more of a mass going. So that's definitely starting to happen now. At the same time, what we've done is we've done a drop up to the north. So if we pause it, this is at a really interesting time. 6 minutes is right as this guy should have reclaimed his aircraft lab. That means if he doesn't have a shuriken out, that this is going to be problematic. So we're going to take him and we're going to run him like this around the edge of mexes. Just like that, nice and easy, and we can just let him go. And what that's going to do is hopefully that's going to kill some mexes of the enemy, reducing the metal income, subsequently increasing our chance. We're also going to grab a couple of death subs right here. I don't know why it sometimes doesn't queue them up properly, but I like to get them out. We can also get our construction ship out here. Commander, he should have been reclaiming all this time. He wasn't. That's okay. We'll pretend he was. We'll now move him out to the front as well. We can now start to see these ships. We're looking to try and engage with the enemy, then circle back around. We've got the resurrection subs that'll be able to repair or be able to reclaim. And then you can see we're running into a little bit of an issue here where we're not spending all of our available metal. So what we're going to do is add in additional nanos back here. So we might even go ahead and add in 2. It might mean that we're down for a little bit right here, but that's the general idea, because when it comes to spending our metal, that's going to be the most important place. When it comes to this island, the other thing that we want to do is defend it with guards. So we can just put up 3 guards like this. Is decent if there's any potential hover attacks. We can also look to put a nano down and then some wind turbines. Do expect that you probably lose this if your enemy sends the commander over there. That's kind of just an acceptable loss, and you're hoping that they don't, or that they try and do something with air. And if the commander goes over there, then their commander is not necessarily out of position, but you can look to try and leverage that through other ways. So here with the commander in position, it's very hard for you if you are to lose a fight. If you lose the fight, you're probably going to lose the commander, and then you give over 1250 metal to your opponent. It's not an easy time for you. But the whole goal of the commander is going to be repairing up. If we take a look here, let's stop firing here, but the commander's going to be assisting. He's going to be offering repairs, and we're going to be cycling back and forth between front line, doing little rings, and the commander's going to be repairing. He's going to be acting as that pseudo death cavalry submarine as more and more units get pushed to the front. And that's essentially the idea of here. What is going on? He is not assisting. Oh, because we're not assisting. That's okay. Meanwhile, Geo's almost complete. Once the Geo's complete, we can just go ahead and put down some of the energy converters. Construction ship also wants to be building sea radars, so just making sure that we get these up. Ideally, you want one over here. You'd also like to have one up a little bit further, just so that you're able to scout any potential movements. And then let's talk about sort of like end game and what our goals are here, because our goal is to obviously win the sea. We want to do that, right? But what do we do after we've done that? Because we're in the favored position here. So assuming everything went well, you know, you took good trades, you were able to repair, you're able to reclaim, you were able to funnel all those resources back into new vessels that you were subsequently then able to push your opponent off the shoreline. And eventually it got to the point where you were looking at something like this. So what do you do from here? What are your options? So let's speed it up a little bit. Wonderful. So one of the first things that you can do is get your commander up here and go kill Geo. And it's like, sure, you're donating the Geo, but your goal here is you want to degun the T2 lab. That's it. There should be a T2 lab somewhere in here. Normally it's at the front, could be over here, could be down here, depending on how they want to play it, but it should be there. If you can degun the T2 lab, you're doing real well. That's it. If they've upgraded their Geo and you hit that, bro, you're having a wonderful day. So the whole idea here is that Geo is kind of like the backbone of this position. If you've won the water, this guy's going to be a walkover. You're going to destroy him. This guy's focused on the front. Geo's the one that's going to have to defend against you. So if you could just kill Geo with a commander, it's like an invitation to kill the rest of the enemy team. So let's just talk quickly about how we do that. So once we've won water, we should just stop making units. All right, just straight away. Don't even think about it. Okay. One of the options that you've got here is to go into T2. So let's go ahead. We'll get a construction sub out just quickly and put that bad boy down. I think we should be okay in this position right here. Let's try our best. That's fine. We can also reclaim this one. They're all going to get to work here. So one of the things that you can do is you can go into an advanced construction sub, go into 1, 2, but you're going to need at least one. That's going to be important. By the way, you will also be given ARM T2 Con T Advanced Construction K-Bot. You'll also be given one of these, maybe some butlers as well if you're lucky, and they will build this all up, and that's going to send your metal income absolutely crazy. That should be happening around the 7-minute mark, 8-minute mark, somewhere in that region, and you should not be expected to pay for that, okay? You should be saying, can I please have T2? And if they say, can I pay? You say, can I please have it for free? I'm trying to win the sea. I know it's a lot that you got to say. Anyway, so once you're out here and you've got this all sorted out, you can also get a couple of Pathfinders out or whatever it is your unit is that you've got. You're then going to be looking to upgrade your underwater metal extractors. Of course, you're also going to be taking all of the metal extractors that are out here on the water, and you're going to be upgrading those as well. You can get these guys to guard so that you're able to build these a lot faster. But one of the things that I've seen players love doing is they put a whole bunch of nanos around here. And you've got, I will say right now, I think the biggest mistake that you can make in this position right here after you've won C is clicking this button right here. I think that we want to click this button at some point. We want to go into a flagship, but you don't want to do it right now, especially this early. You can win the game with a lot less metal and a lot earlier than what it's going to take to get this out. You can get it out at like 20 minutes, 22 minutes. I've seen like flagships coming out. But by that time, bro, I already knew you were going for a flagship, and I've got my defenses in, and your flagship does nothing to me. So what's my suggestion? What's the alternative? I would suggest if you're playing as the ARM, you do this, and you make a whole bunch of platypus. Now, how would you go about doing that? Well, you make the ARM equivalent of the Pathfinder, make about 3 or 4 of them, and you just keep spamming them. You build like a whole bunch of them here. But instead, what we're going to be doing, let's take a look and see, is there any units that we can make with the Pathfinder? I don't think there is there? Yeah, so there's no units that we can actually make with it here. Is there a way? Hold on. Give ARM, what would it be called? It would be called, I don't even know the name of it, dude. I don't even know. But essentially, that's what you do. But other things that you can do, so you can get the cruise missile ship, which is quite nice. So let's say that maybe your commander got intercepted here and you couldn't degun the Geo, and because of that, you know, the Geo is still alive. One of the things that you can do is get your advanced missile ship up here. Another really important thing that you want to do is get a radar jammer. These guys are incredible when it comes to the sea. So if we take a look here, like the radius on this is just so stupid. Jamming radius of 900, just ridiculous. But yeah, you're able to hit the Geo from here with the missile ship. You're able to clear this guy's base. You're able to clear the front with the missile ship. So getting the missile ships is quite nice. And then once you've done that, always look to reclaim your lab. Like, you don't need to be keeping this lab up. So just getting out some storage as well. Build the storage, reclaim the lab, turn it into something else. You can always build a little bit closer as well. So I like to come up here and build like, you don't never build like that on the sea because it's way too easy, but like you go something a little bit crazy like that, and then you can build your lab up here. So one of the things I would suggest as core specifically, if we just speed this up right now. So let's get all of these up. We're able to go into, we don't want to go into the experimental lab. I'm a much bigger fan of the salamander timing. So once we've got all the nanos up, if we take a look here, there should be an option for, we'll just grab a construction ship. And the construction ship can go into an amphibious complex. So we can get a couple of these amphibious complexes out. We can just put a couple down like this, and we can just build a whole bunch of salamanders. And that's essentially how we can go for our win condition here. So just keep in mind, you know, like we probably were successful here. Another cool thing that you can do as well is you can get the jammer out and then move the commander in. It will take you a little bit longer to do it this way, and you can cloak the commander as well, so he will never get seen. It can take you longer to do this, and like I've been degunned here at 9 minutes before, and I wasn't happy. I didn't even have a radar up, so I kind of deserved it. But like I have also played against players that will like bring this radar jammer up at like 12, 13 minutes. Commander is cloaked. Is there any way that we can get a whole bunch of energy right now? Can we like just quickly spam a fusion out? This is like, I'm looking here. I'm like, advanced construction sub. Where's my naval fusion reactor? Okay. Everybody on the naval fusion reactor. Let's just speed it up a little bit here. Okay. So now we've got energy. So yeah, one of the things that like, if you're cloaked at this point and you're jammed, they will never see you unless they've got cameras. That's the only time that they'll ever see you. So I'm in the habit now of putting down those cameras. But you can see, right, like with the jammer here, the commander is literally undetected until this point, and now it's too late. Your Geo's dead. And everything is dead. And you've just killed this guy. And now that you've killed that guy, you take all your salamanders and you say, hey, bud, we're just going to go run through your base over to pond and then over to the opposite sea with the hope of eventually getting this guy to win. Or if you want to do it the other way, you can come up through here as another way for it. But I find that taking up the front first makes the most sense, just because if you think about like pressure points, the front is normally like the best or the most common place that you're going to see that. But yeah, like with the salamanders, you come in for like this kind of timing, something like that is absolutely amazing. And then from there, if you want, you can reclaim these, get yourself an experimental lab up, and then from there you can look to go into Shivas. So we can do that, and you can go for like a Shiva timing attack. It's not really a timing attack, but it's just a Shiva attack. Up towards this top side, because normally towards this top side it's a lot harder to get through, even with like, let's say if you did a salamander timing, just because the air player, there is the risk that they just get like their economy is pretty decent. They can very quickly build up the pork to stop it. Like the most likely thing that you'll see them do is build a whole bunch of scorpions. And eco by the same token, right? Like they can be moving into snipers. They can be getting scorpions out themselves. So something to be aware of there. But that's pretty much it. And then you can just kind of walk in here with Shivas and have a field day. But that's pretty much it. And then like after that is all done, then from there, I would be saying, okay, if you've ticked all those boxes, maybe then make a flagship. Right? Like, you could probably do the flagship before the experimenter gantry, depending on how you're feeling. But, like, you're just going to get so much more value from, like, the Shivas. Like, right, okay, that's 1550. So you could make, let's say, 10, 20 Shivas instead of the flagship. Well, what's the flagship going to do, right? Like, if I'm playing in this Geo position, I've already defensively built my base so that I've got my fusions at the front. I've got my nanos all along here, and then I've got my energy converters at the back. And if you didn't kill me with a D-gun because I had a perimeter camera up, and I would have reclaimed this by the time that this guy lost the sea, then all of a sudden, how are you going to kill me if I've got like my 4 aphises here and I just put a single what's it called, a keeper? I put a single keeper here, and now all of a sudden you can't kill me. And like you spent all this metal on a unit that can't do anything. I've completely nullified you with 9,000 metal. And of course, like this guy's going to have to do it. This guy's going to have to do it. You know, even this guy's going to have to put keepers down. So there's definitely a reason why we do it. But at the same time, it's just like there are easier ways to win the game than with a flagship. I will just say that. Anyway, we're going to leave it here for this position. It's kind of been in a lot of detail here. I love this position just because of the flexibility you get from the sea. But yeah, that's it for this position. Let's move now on to the final sea at the bottom. Okay, so now we're going to be taking a look at the beach sea. So it is the longer sea. And definitely, I would say, while air is probably the most difficult position to say, to play. I would say that this is the hardest position to play. So what do I mean there? I mean that this is very difficult to win your lane. It feels like if I was to, guess the winners out of these, I would say that this guy is going to beat this guy probably 65% of the time, whereas this guy wins 35% of the time. Air can definitely assist that. Geo can assist that. There's some other factors as well. But just to start us off, we've got a 3 mechs opening right here. And then from here, you'll see that wind is going to start going down. So let's ride on board with Baby Hydra. Now, Baby Hydra is one of the best sea players in the world. And the reason why we're looking at this replay rather than actually looking at me playing it through is, number one, I've never played this position, and number two, the build order that I know isn't as clean as what he's got. So let's take a look. So opening up with the solar, even though we're at wind 6, he still goes with the solar, and that is because he wants to spend his metal. This is a long walk, and if he's only going to drop down wind turbines, he's not going to be able to spend that metal. So he's going to drop down the solar into the 3 wind turbines into the energy storage here. Now, he's going to be giving these winds away shortly. At the moment, if we take a look, he's at 7 wind, so not too crazy on the wind at this stage of the game, but the energy storage is going to be coming up, and then he goes into 2 tidals. So opening us up with 3 different types of energy. And at this stage, so we can see right here, he's still got all 3 of these, but I think he's got these selected at the moment. There we go. So he gives 2 off over to BLX in the back. And he has requested, I don't know if it doesn't show, but he's requested a heavy transport. So we can see that over here. Let's click on BLX. So a heavy transport and a scout. So that's what he has requested. So the 2 titles now are coming up. Wind is still quite low at this stage, but he's only got the 1 wind turbine and now going to be going into the shipyard. He has also requested a construction turret, or sorry, a construction bot, as well as a Lazarus from the Geo position. So here, now looking to complete this, you'll see there's a whole bunch of units that he's got queued up here. So let's just pause it for a second here. I'll be honest, I don't know what order they're going to come out in. I suspect it's, well, I know it's going to be construction ships to start off. So 2 construction ships at the very least to start off, and then a herring. We want to get our herring out towards the island, and then from there we can look to move into a whole bunch of submarines. Submarines are quite good from this position because you've got a lot of water, so you've got open movement, very easy to maneuver. And now we can see that he's turning around. He's also dropping down the wind turbine on the shoreline. He's got the first of the construction ships out, and we've got 1, 2 metal extractors, followed by a radar in this position, very important, followed by another metal extractor coming up here and looking to get greedy and aggressive early on. Behind the scenes, we see that he's picked up the Lazarus, and it is now starting to eat all of the rocks, and then we'll eat all of the energy. At the same time, we've also got the construction bot, which is coming down, and it's built a nano, as well as 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to be honest, this is the ugliest base I've seen. Sorry, Baby Hydra, but yeah, it's we got to work on this base building. Anyway, I'm sure there's a method to his madness. He's OS 53. Anyway, we've got the second constructor coming out, mechs into air defense, into a whole bunch of tidals and energy converters back here. Herring number 1 is out on the way over towards the island, looking to pick up that inevitable Atlas that comes in, or drop that comes in over there, and back towards this position at the shipyard. We can see the first thing that's going to come out from here is an orca, and that's where he's going to be looking to get aggressive. Now, keep in mind, we're at 318. If we look over on the other side, you can see that we've only just got the shipyard coming down on this side. Now, there's lots of different strategies that you can do for this map. Commander coming over to the metal extractor here, and now going to be timed here. There's a lot of strategies that you can do for this map. This is just one that we're looking at that I think is a really safe bet. So here he's looking to try and utilize the heavy transport and maximize the efficiency with his commander. He's going to bring the commander in, drop it in on that backside. We can see the herring is moving out as well. The orca continues to move up. The construction ship a little bit ahead at the moment, and now back towards here. So he's going for a second orca coming straight out of the gates, struggling a little bit with regard to his metal. Now going to start throwing down the tidal generators as well. So he's gone for 5 and then 3 of the energy converters. And that second orca will be coming out shortly, moving up towards the front. So he's taken out 1, 2, 3, 4 mexes on land. 1, 2, 3. So a total of 7. And then the 8th one is about to come up. On top of that, he's going to be looking to secure 9 and 10 over here. So still quite a lot of metal and looking to try and get it all online as quickly as he can. That's the key. There's the second Orca. What's the next thing? Another submarine. So keep in mind that you can play core, you can play arm. I feel like at the moment, sea meta kind of trends towards core. So here is an example. We can see, again, Southie is playing as core as well. He hasn't eaten his bot lab, which is interesting, because normally at this point, Southie, you'd be at 0 metal. You are. I think this may be a mistake. Anyway, Commander has now been dropped. He's going to be putting down two mexes as well as the laser turret, and then coming up building a little bit more point defenses and the torpedo launcher down here. So one thing to note is that this over here is quite important, the slingshot. It is going to prevent any drops from coming down over here. Quite often players will look to do drops on this little spot, so this is going to counteract that. If you're a lower level, you probably won't need to do it, but once you start notice people doing it, then it might be a good idea. So he's now going to start pushing forward. He's got 3 submarines. Now, keep in mind, everybody plays this position differently. Some people like to go for submarines first. Some people, I've seen people rush oppressors. Some people rush riptides. There's lots of different ways that you can play it. You can put on pressure. But if we take a look at his enemy laner, you'll see Sentient Waffle, quite a good player, OS 37, despite being this color. It's just a very stacked lobby. And you can see that he is doing the same thing, also going for submarines early on. So 2 submarines now coming out for him, and he's got no idea exactly what his enemy is up to, so he's just going to chill out for the moment. I don't know what happened here. I'm going to be real. It looks like the orange commander died somehow, but there's no units over here. Was it a scout potentially killed him? I don't know how it killed him in the water so deep here, but anyway, let's have a look and see what the reaction is. I mean, at this stage, we're 6 minutes through this game, okay? And this has already provided you a really good insight as to what a high-level player looks like opening from this position. Keep in mind, some of the players that play from this position think that it is so unwinnable that they will... I've seen them just sacrifice their commanders. Now, when I say sacrifice their commanders, I don't mean just go and like kill them on the shoreline and go T2 and have a field day that way. What I mean is they'll go... grab their commander and just be like, okay, where are we going, bro? And like, just come in here, D-gun this lab, and then just like look to try and walk to Geo. Because if we can get a D-gun on this, boom. So I've seen some players do that. Baby Hydra is not doing that here. You can see a couple of gunboats going to be moving up. And now towards the 4, he's got 3 orcas, but he's a bit out of position. And we can see that the double tap came through from the enemy's orcas. And now all of a sudden, he's in a bit of a hard spot. Now, we're not going to commentate this game and go through it because it's not so much about the intricacies and the minutia here. It's more about the macro and what is the big decisions that he's making here, not what are the little decisions that are happening here as another submarine comes out. So it definitely feels like in this sea down here, there's a bit more submarines. If we look up towards the north, you'll see we've got the destroyer, we've got a couple of assault frigates that are coming out, and what have we got? And look at that. Like, so for some reason on this side, we've got, it just really depends on what you're feeling, right? And these players obviously feeling a little bit more orca oriented. Anyway, we're going to leave it there for this game specifically, and we're going to wrap this one up. Okay, so we've gone through every single position. We've gone through the 2 front players, the pond, we've gone through Geo, as well as the tech, the air player, and the 2 sea players. We've covered every single thing on this map. So I'd like this video, it's been about 2 hours now, I'd like this video to at least be the standard in 2025 August for this map. At least when it comes to, you know, players under OS 30. I think that it's quite reasonable that people, the more they play a game, the more content they'll consume, and eventually, hopefully, you'll find this video. So I guess I ask that you share this with somebody who perhaps may need it. This is made primarily to educate people, also, I guess, a little bit to entertain people, but mainly to educate people, to teach them how to play, to become better gamers, and hopefully to help improve the skill of all players in Beyond All Reason so that we can have all more competitive games together. But if you've got any questions, leave them down below. I'll keep an eye on the questions and comments. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like. And of course, if you're looking forward to more Beyond All Reason content, then make sure you hit the subscribe button. So we'll leave it there, and thank you for watching.